In this video I will go through the steps to make a task within the Moodle system. The aim is to create a standard for how we build these tasks, to facilitate that everybody use the same structure, and also to facilitate the correction where it's sometimes, if you don't have a standard on how you do things, it can be quite messy with all the documents and so on, and correcting and understanding what belongs where. So that's the reason why we create a standard. So what I will go through in this video is the standard for how to make the title of your task, the wording, what needs to be part of the wording, introduction, how we set it up using something called a book. Instruction is the same, we use something called a book. And the files, how we put that up in a way that they don't populate the front page of the task, but you have to click in and you can download them all in one click if you need. We are using something called files and folders for this. Then the assignment. When you create an assignment, there's a lot of settings that we need to make sure we have done correct. So the task is get the correct point, that we know if it's a study, if it is a course, or if it is an experience, and to know when the student actually gets the point for this task. So that's the reason why we want to create a standard. And in this little video, I will go through making a task, going through these 6 points, so you can see how it's done in practice. So let's head over to Moodle. I am currently logged in as, go over here, I'm logged in as the teacher, and I'm going to work with the CSED 12-month course. That consists of 5 courses, and I will click into the first course. As you see here, there are already some titles and wordings made, and this is pretty much the standard that we are going to use. To see an example on how it will look, let's go into a task. You will have here the title and the wording. You will have the hours, and in a very faintly text it will show you the code of the tasks. The code is quite important because if you, I will now, well, I think you can actually see it from, let me see, I will go to the front page. Look here at the teacher, you see the task, and all tasks now has a code for the C12 is CSED 12 month, P1 is period 1, and so on. So this is the reason why we use the codes, because it's easy to recognize the files and the tasks when we correct, or when we have files on our PC we want to upload or download. Back in to the task. I go back into the first period, and as you see we have a lot of tasks down here. I will click back into it, and then we have the introduction that is made in a kind of a book. You see the text, and then you have the instruction, you see the text. Then you have a folder with files, and when you click on it you will have access to the videos if you have any, or you will have access to the files down here if you have any. You can also download the whole folder if you have several reading files. And at the end we have the assignment. And the assignment, again, we have to add the code to it, followed by maximum 2 words. Long titles in assignment makes it very difficult to see what is what when we look on statuses and so on, because you have very little space. So use the code followed by 1 to 2 letters. Again, when you go into the front page, you see how easy it is to recognize the things when you write it like this. Okay? Good. So that's a standard task, how it looks like. What we will do now is that in this period we will add a fictive task. I have prepared some content with a reading file, and As you see, the reading file, I've given the complete name, and that's quite important. Like you have the title, you have the by whom, you have the book that is from, and the pages. Just write that on the file name. That's one way of doing it, and it's a good way. Then I have made an assignment task that I want the students to download and write in this one and upload it again. You don't need to do this, and I can show you 2 ways of doing it, but that's one way. Then the good way of doing this is that if you upload a Word document that is called this, well, we could also give, for example, if you want to give it a kind of a name that you know what this task is all about, then when student download it, he fills it up and he submit it, he can add some Moodle student or his name, okay, to it. So when he upload it, and if you as a teacher download a lot of assignment, then you know which task it is and you know which student it is. So that's one way of doing that. Okay, I will remove this now because that's something the student would. Then I have the task details, and then that tells me about the wording, the time, the section, etc., etc. And then I have a YouTube text, YouTube video that I also want to attach. So this is my task, and I'm now ready to start to make it. First of all, you go into the period where you want to add the task, and you click on the gear and turn editing on. That gives you access to each of these courses to edit and to add more activities for each of the tasks. Right now I will scroll down to the bottom and I will make a new one. So for now I will click here. This belongs to this course here. So I will add another topic. A topic is the same as a task. So I click this one. So here it says number of section. Normally you just, if you're making one task, just write 1, and I click add topic, and basically it will create a task here at the bottom, and we're now ready to make the task. Alright, so I go into my task details. I have the title here. So I will click the editing button. I mean, you can also just edit the title straight here, but as we are also adding more information, let's edit the topic. Say custom and write it in here. Here you should write first if it is a task, if it is a course, if it is an experience. This is the way the student identifies what it is. Then back into my here to write the wording. So this is the wording, and I paste that in here. Then the next thing I would want to do is to say how many hours it is. Time, 4 hours. And then I have 2 lines that looks a little bit different. And that is to not highlight them too much. And that is the code and the section. If your course doesn't have sections, you don't have to add it. If it has section, it's the way for the student to see which section this task belongs to. So I will paste that in, and now I will highlight this too, as I want to use another type of text for it. I click on the formatting and I say pre-formatted. And you see they become a little bit smaller and they become invisible, nearly invisible. So that's me having made the main thing and all the requirements for this. I will just correct this so it fits with the section that I'm in. 9. Okay, so it's the 9th task in the first period. Good. So now it has been added here at the bottom, and you can see how it looks. Now we're going to start to add the activities. As you can see, we have done the title, we have done the wording with the things. Oh yeah, one thing I wanted to mention about the code is that some say, oh, but it's not a task, it's an experience, it's a course. Well, the important thing is that no matter what it is, use this as the base. Task refers to not what it is, but it's just a task. If you think it's important that you know if a task from the file and the code what it is, you can use the same code and then you can add a dash, an S for studies, E for experience, C for course after the code. Not change this, because then when it's sorted alphabetically, it will not sort it per task, but it will just mix them all together. So keep the main code always identical, and if you want to distinguish on the code what it is, use the same, but add that little thing in the back. Okay? Now we are ready to do the introduction and instruction, and they are done in the same way. And I have 3 notes. Add activity book, name, introduction, and add a text. Activity completion, none. Alright, let's go back and do that now. So we'll see, this is where I am. Okay, so I will add the first activity, and that is an introduction. So I add one activity, I go to book, and I click add. I then give it a title, and the title is just introduction. And I give it a description. That's here. And this you can also make ordered list. You can use the editor up here to add like a numbered listing and stuff like that. You can highlight, you can do all this kind of thing, and you can put links and what else you want to do. If you want to have some spoken introduction, you can also add an audio file, etc. This is the basic standard. Then the next is to now we have written the introduction, and then we have to go to activity completion, and we say do not indicate activity completion. And basically what it means is that the teacher doesn't have to confirm and tick off that the student have read it. It's basically just something the student have to read. They don't have to confirm that they have read it. There are some advanced settings, and there are arguments for adding this to some tasks, but for now, on introduction instruction, let's put this to do not indicate activity completion, and save and return to course. So, now I have come back to this. Okay, I can see only the title here, so let me try to go back in to edit this introduction, and I think I have to mark this display description on the course page. So I click this on, and if I do that, it will be visible here under the course without having to click into it. Alright, that's the introduction done. Now we have to do the instruction in the same way. So I will add another activity. I will add a book. I will give it a title. And the title is Introduction. My instruction, I mean. Put it there. I add a text. Instruction. Here. That's about it. And again, you can add a video, audio, whatever you want. I think you can even attach files and so on. But the basic thing is probably just to write, how many hours and what they're going to do. And we want to say display on the course page. Then we go to activity completion, and we make sure to switch this off. Do not indicate activity completion. And we return. So now we have made the title, the wording, the hours, the section, the code, introduction, instruction, and now we are going to do the next thing, and that is to add the files. And of course there are many ways to do it, but what we are doing here is to try to create a standard. If you and your school for your team have argumentation that it's good to do it in a different way, you are welcome to do it. The only thing that you have to comply with is codes. Codes for the subject, codes for the task. That's something that you have to do. Because if not, it becomes messy for people maybe taking over you after you have moved on to another team. Somebody else comes in and are going to use your database, and it's difficult for them to find it. So that's important. But this is a suggestion on how to do a standard setup. So the files, let's do that now. So we add an activity called a folder, and we can add video, and we can do files to this folder and give the files complete names. Okay, so these are the notes for this. Let's go into the task. So I will add an activity or resource. So in this case, I will add a folder, add. I will give the folder a name and I will call it files. There might be arguments for you can call it resources. Well, again, just keep it to one standard the whole way through, because maybe not all of it is files. Then here we have two options. We have a description, and we can upload files. This up here you will typically use if you are adding video. Video about capitalism, for example. So that's the first thing. I click enter. Then I have an icon up here that says add a video. So I add this video as a link. I think I can just click the link. I click the video. Then I have gone to YouTube and I have found this video I want to add. So I copy the link, I paste it in, and I don't think there is any other advanced settings. You can add another title here. I don't think you actually see it. You can show the controls. Muted, loop, okay, show controls is fine, and insert media. So now it will show up like this. Why it is saying this at the moment? Let me just have a check. Okay, I just checked when I go in as a student or teacher without editing mode, and it looks fine. So here you can add as many videos you want, or other resources, or audios, and so on. Down here you can add the files. So let's add some files. I'll go back to my desktop, go back into the task. Yeah, and I think I have my folder with the files here. Here's the file. And here's the PDF file I want to add, so I drag it over. And it's now added. I don't think there's any other options that you need to do here. Activity completion, again, always put this. The only thing that has activity completion is the assignment. Everything else does not have it. I will look into if I find a way that we can do it like a default setting for these things. But for now, I have done it. I go back to my task. So, now I have made introduction, instruction, and I made the files. Now I need to make the assignment. So that's what I'm going to do now. Click, assignment, and add. So we're going to give it an assignment name. And assignment name, as we talked about, we use the code followed by 1 or 2 words. For example, just capitalism. Okay. Then here you can write a description of this task. And the reason why it's good to make a description is because when you as a teacher are going to correct, okay, then I will just say this now as it is. I can show you why you should do a description. When you're going to correct the task, see the submission? You know that here you have the file that he has supplied, you have the points, but you can't really see what was the instruction he had to fill in. There are 2 ways to do this. One is to upload a Word document that has it and he writes in that one. The second is that if you click on the wheel down here, you go back to the description and you can see the description that he has to do. So it makes it easier for you to correct the task, that you don't have to click back into the task somewhere else, check what he has to do, then come back here. So that's why it's good to write the description of the task assignment here, okay? Good. Back to the task. So this is the one we're doing, so I will go back into the assignment. So I will, for example, here write, for example, write 200 words about the history of capitalism, etc., etc. Point 2, point 3, point 4. That's it. Then that's one way you can do it. The other way you can do it is also to upload a file into this field, like this one, where you have written in this Word document, you have written at the top what he has to do, and then he replies to it. And you give this document the name, the code of the task. Okay? So, in this way, I will just take this and I will move it in here. Okay, so these are the 2 things I will do here. You don't have to upload files, it's okay to just do it like this. But it's kind of just to show the 2 ways. The important thing is that do either one or do the other. Because when you correct a task, you will be very grateful that you can see what he has to do when you are in correcting the task. Okay, then we have some settings that we have to make sure is correct. We have to disable these deadlines, because the way we work, we don't have deadlines. We work in periods and so on. Here are 2 options. Do you want the student to be able to write in a little editor his answer and just send it? Or do you need him to upload a file? Yes or yes? You know, you can click both of them or you can select one of them. This is depending on what's best for your task. For now, I will just add the 2 options. Then the next we have feedback. We have nothing there. Submission settings. Good. Here we want to say, for example, the student has to click a button that says submit this task. And I'll show you afterwards. Then we have a submission statement. Default is no. If it is an exam and you want to tell the student, be aware that as soon as you send this, you will never be able to change it again and this will be your final score, so make sure before you submit it, you can put it to yes and write a submission statement. Okay? But generally speaking, we don't need it. Attempts reopen. Well, what we have discussed with some of the teachers is that we put this to manually and 3 times. Which means that when you correct a task, if you don't accept it, you can send it back to the student. And you can basically send it back 2 times. And when he sends it the third time, it's basically the last time he can submit it. It is just to have not have a continuous loop of attempt. There are ways to override it if you are in that situation, but as a teacher, you will make sure that the third time you submit it, it will be a pass. So these are the correct setting on submission setting. Then we have something called points. And this is also important. So if the task is, for example, to 4 points, you write 4 points. Here you write if it is a course, experience, or studies. I will say studies, if it is a study task. Grade to pass, well, you need to have 4, because that's the maximum points, and 4 points is 4 hours work. So these are the settings you need to put for the task. Then we have activity completion, which is the last setting. And this is the important part. We have to set this to show activity as complete when conditions are met. Tick this one that says student must receive a grade to complete his activity, and remove this tick. This means that he will not get the points before the teacher has actually corrected it and accepted it. If you mark this one, he will get the point when you submit it, and that's not the point. If you put it to student can manually do it, he can just have viewed it, or as long as he submitted, it's already approved, So just make sure you choose show activity as completed when condition is met, and this is it. Save and return. Alright. I think we have gone through the whole task now, and this task is ready. As a teacher, I will now disable it, disable the editing, and let's see how it looks like. Looks good. Click on it. It looks good. Introduction, instruction, files. I click on files. I'll see the video, and I see the file in full name. And I can't stress enough that it's important to write all this information when you attach something. Alternatively, you can write the sources up here, like in point 1, point 2, point 3, and then you can upload the files, but I would think this is the best way to do it. Alright, so now let's see how this looks now for a student who is going to complete this task. So now I'm logged in as a student. I will refresh the page. I will go down to task number, this task number 9. I have the introduction, I have the instruction, I can see the files. As a student, I can download all the files, that's good. And when I'm ready, I can do the submission. So, here it says that I have 3 attempts allowed. This is the file that I could open, or download it. Let's see here. So I will open it. Enable editing, and then I will write this is my answer. This is my answer. So the student, he saves this, save as, browse, go to the desktop, Moodle, and then I have the answer, and I will just write the student's my name, which is Morten. Okay, and I save it. Okay, so now I'm ready to submit. In the submission, I said that I could also just write it here as an online text. I gave that option, but in this situation, I will upload my submission here. So I put that in there. Oh, I think I had the internet out. Let me check that. Okay, it was just because I had the file open on my PC, so I had to close it before I can upload it. So now I have done this and I can save the changes. As you see, it's still not submitted yet. You can go home, you can come back, you can work, you can have weekend, you can come back on Monday and continue, because it's not submitted yet and it will save the things that you have done. When you're finally ready, you click Submit Assignment. And it says, are you sure you want to submit this for grading? And you say Continue. And it's now submitted for grading, etc., etc., and the students are happy. Up here in notification, I think it comes straight away. It says you have submitted the assignment successfully for this code. Okay, so I now go in as a teacher to correct this task. So I'm now logged in as a teacher. I'm not sure if this announcement has come through yet. Yes, it has come through here that there has been a submission. Normally it also comes here, but I think there is a 10 minutes delay before it comes here. No, it's actually already here. You see here, fantastic. I tried it earlier and there was a delay. So I can click on this link, or I can click on the notification up here. It brings me to the same place. So here I am inside it, so I say View All Submission. I can see the file here and it has his name. I click on the point and it's generating a PDF file out of the attached document. And normally I think the first page is always blank for some reason. If I go to page 2, you'll be able to read his answer here. Okay? And let me see if it has been enabled. So you can actually do different things in this document, etc., etc. And if you didn't have an attached file, you can click on this icon up here that will show you the description here, so you know what you have to correct. Okay? So when you are ready and happy, you can write your feedback. If you're happy with the task, you give him the 4 points. If you were not happy with the task and you want to send it back, you give 0. You don't write in this field, you just leave it empty. Okay? Leave it empty, and then you go here, allow another attempt, and then you say yes. And then you send it back to the student to do a second attempt on the task. And so on. When he sends it the next time, it will say that it's attempt number 2, you correct it and you can send it back for the last time, or you can give the points for him here. So in this case, I'm happy, I give him the points, I go to save this, and the changes were saved and everything is okay. I have now corrected the task for the student. Then when he goes in here, of course we haven't set up everything yet in this, but the student, when he goes into the task period, he will later get all this updated all the time. You've got 4 out of 34 points, and when we have all the tasks and assignment done, it will show here a list over the different assignments that has been done. So this is the course completion status that is available for all the students to always see exactly where they are. So that is the complete process. I know it was a little bit long film, but if you see this one and go through it, then you will be set up for a good system for you as a teacher and for the student. So hope you find it useful, even though it's nearly 35 minutes, but this will probably be the only video you need to see. Okay, see you in the next one.